continue to call in and come in as they do. We have about 17 on so far, and I know we had 32 that confirmed for tonight. So thank you, everybody, for being here once again. Linda Jorgensen, we'll talk about the book when we get there. What I need is some help with, as I was saying before, maybe Connie, can I call on you to help Patty B with the chat box? She reminds me because sometimes I don't see what's going on there.
Yes, I got it.
Great. And if there's anybody else that can maybe take some notes, I mean, generally we have Jamie Collins to take notes, and she is on a vacation in Hawaii right now. So if somebody else wants to step up to do that, not anybody on the advisory committee, because you all are talking tonight. Let me tell you, you're talking. We're trying to keep it to 60 minutes if we can, although it may take a little bit longer on the restructuring that we're doing. Excited about where we're at. Again, you are definitely the dream team, and we need to dream big. And this is where we are. We are up to, which is really exciting. After almost a year and 3/4 since the first group started, we're still at 77 members. That's pretty amazing. I trust all of you got or were able to open, or if you weren't, contact me. I got a thank you note because I wanted all of you to know that your name actually appears in my CDT Shifts book. I believe so strongly in what we've done here together that it deserved recognition in print, and not just an article, but actually in my print book that will live on. So thank you to all of you for that you have been on this committee and all you've done. So here we go. Let's see who's here so far. Angela, I don't see her yet. Angela, are you there by any chance? No, not yet. Barbie, are you there? Because I see Barbie is
here.
There you are. I see you coming and going there. So how about Barb Brightfitch? I don't see her yet. Connie? Say hi, Connie.
Yep, I'm here.
Terrific. Denise isn't here yet, but she expects to be. Looks like Alicia's going to be a little bit late, but that's okay. Beth, are you here? Beth Deegan? Not yet. Howard, say hi, Howard.
Hello.
We're going to come back to Howard in a little bit and explain who Howard is and how excited we are to have him back with us. Janet Jordan, you're here, right? Janet?
I'm here.
There
Yep, I'm here.
There you are. Jean Wynn, so she will be here when she can. And again, you can see that she said she would be a little bit late. Jeanette Miranda, I think I just saw you come in.
Yes, hello.
By the way, Jeanette, we were talking about you on our meeting the other night about what an awesome person you are, what a great job you did at the CMC committee this year. So thank you again for that.
Well, thank you. Those are kind words.
They're true words. Jennifer. Hey, Jen.
I'm here.
Terrific. Great to see you.
Hello.
Jill, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Terrific. By the way, Jill, just
Hello.
to let you know, you're going to be actually doing the part on the committee, on the subcommittee. You'll see as we go how this all is.
Okay.
Kendra's with us on the phone.
Alrighty.
Driving back from seeing her son downstate Illinois. So, Kendra, can you say hi? Don't put yourself at risk if you have to take your hands off the steering wheel. Catherine, how are you?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm working.
Guess what? I had a bad old list that had your name spelled wrong, but guess what? I caught it this time.
Yay. Thank you.
Bad name spelling again. Unbelievable. I see Alicia just got here. Say hi, Alicia. Yeah, she'll get there. Alicia? Whatever. She'll talk in.
Hi, I'm here.
Terrific. Kathy Forbes, are you here?
Absolutely, I'm here.
Oh, good, because you got a big park girlfriend like you always do. I'll explain how that goes when we get there. Chris Potts, I don't know if she said she'll be at her best to be here. Linda Jorgensen.
Hey, everybody.
Linda, I got your slides in at 10 minutes to 7. So we did it, girlfriend. Whew. Anyway,
sorry to make you wait for him like that, but
You weren't waiting. I wasn't waiting. Guess what? I was packing up. We are moving, and so I was packing this afternoon. So it's like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, there's Linda's slides. So it's all good. It's all good. We're all a team. Lucy, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Great to see you, Lucy. Maureen West, have you gotten here yet? Nope. But I see Mary Miller's here. Mary, say hi. She didn't come.
Hello.
Hi, Mary.
Glad to be here.
So glad that you're here. Natalie, are you here yet? Not yet. Melissa? Not yet. Okay. Nikki? Not yet. Okay. So we also have, change. Paige, I see you're there.
Yes, I made it. I'm here.
Terrific, you made it. Patty B, you haven't nodded off, have you?
I haven't nodded off yet.
Oh, good. Siobhan, are you here yet? Not yet. Susie, I think.
Yes, I'm
Oh, there
here.
you are. Oh, there you
Hi, how are you?
are. Great to hear from you. You have a slide here today too. I'll explain that when we get there. Susie, I saw you come on.
Yep, I'm here, Patty.
There you are, Tammy Osaski. How you doing, Tammy?
Hello, everyone.
Great to have you. Tasha contacted me, and her washer broke down, so she and her husband were on their way to go buy a new washer. So she said she'll have to listen to the tape. Tony, I think I saw you come in.
Yeah, hi everybody. Nice to be
Terrific.
here.
You're gonna, and actually too, I think I saw Karen Johnson. Karen, you're here, right? Karen?
Karen Thomas is here.
Karen Thomas is here. Did I say Johnson? Well, Karen and you and Tony are gonna need to meet. I'll explain why. I think I just saw
Okay.
Pat Pine jump in too. Pat Pine, did you just jump in? I see you there. Say hi, Pat. All right, so moving forward, that's the Tracy. Tracy.
I'm here.
Terrific. So, Vicky, you're here. Say hi to Vicky. I hope I got. Is there anybody else that chimed in that came in but didn't confirm? I want to say hi to everybody.
Pine just put in the chat box that she's muted, but she's here.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So here we go. Again, that helps us to keep organized as we move forward with this whole thing. By the way, I'm recording, so I'm gonna squish the box so I don't see it anymore. This is the basic structure of where dental codology is at this point, and we're very excited to say that under the speaking, we have facilitated speaking, and what that means is Connie Simmons is going to be doing a dental codology course modified in September, right, Connie? What's the actual date?
September the 12th.
Right, and you're doing that in Virginia. And again, as we move forward with more details on that, we'll share what that's all about. Patty Beeson did it once, now Connie's doing it again, and it's a way to bring dental codology to your area without me actually having to be there, because sometimes I can't be in a million places at once. I see a few more people coming in now, and I welcome all of you. So this is our structure. We have the executive advisors that work with the dental codologist membership, which is the center thing. The masterminds are our think tank. We had one just a week and a half ago. We'll have another one coming up. We have our DCC, and Linda's going to go into how, again, for those of you that aren't familiar with that term, it's the Dental Codeologist Consortium and why we chose that. And we have our meetups. We'll talk about that as well as our certification. So let's talk about our executive advisors. There is no doubt that any of this could happen without this group of people. Let me tell you why. Just in the last 10 days, Patty's at 10 days, I have completed 2 books. In the last 36 hours, I've written 5 articles. And we're also working on putting together a certification. Say my hair is on fire is a little bit like, whoa. And it's because of this. That was Patty. Yeah. Anyway, it's because of this executive advisory team that we even have a meeting tonight. I do want to recognize Noelle Paschke is not with us tonight because she is on her way to a cruise. She also had the death of a close family member, so sending some prayers Noel's way will be very appreciated. So thank you again to Kathy, Linda's Paige, Jill, Tony, and of course Patty. But here's the changes that are happening. Tony's going away. Well, she's not really going away. Tony, why don't you explain what's going on and why you need to meet Karen Thomas and why you're taking a step away from being on the advisory team?
Okay, well, so a few years ago, this is a long story. I attended a conference for the state of Maryland, and it was put on by the CDC, and it was about being a lifestyle coach for diabetes. So it took me a few years, but I found a program in Virginia, and it was a 2-day program, and I got certified as a lifestyle coach to teach diabetes through the CDC. Well, so I stayed as a hygienist, but then I would get involved with the diabetic program, and I said, well, how can I do more? And they said, well, you need to become a health coach. And so I started looking into the numerous health coach programs that were out there. And one day on PBS, I saw Dr. Mark Hyman speak about functional medicine. So I Googled it and really loved what functional medicine was. It's about getting to the root of the cause and using food as our medicine. And then Inova Fairfax, the big hospital in Virginia, had an all-day program on functional medicine for allied health. And so I attended it, and it was just fabulous. So anyway, I signed up to be a functional medicine health coach starting in September. And it's a 1-year program. It's all online. So I work full-time as a hygienist, and I'll be doing the program when I can to get that completed. And then when you're done, you get certified, you take a test and you get certified as a functional medicine health coach. And then you can also become certified internationally. So that is why I said to Patty, I need to step down so I can get all this. There's about 20 hours of reading a week that I'm anticipating. So then she said, well, Karen is an integrative health coach and wrote a book. So anyway, Karen, I'll stay in touch with you in email, but so that's the exciting thing. And truthfully, I think all hygienists have the opportunity to become a health coach. We have so much time to talk to our patient about whole body health, and getting the certification costs about $8,000. And I just think it really adds to your background. So I'm excited.
That's great. Thank you, Karen. Karen, you actually said for you, though, it costs a little more than $8,000. It cost you about $750,000, didn't it?
And that was me getting sick and having to lose my job and then get a master's in nutrition and functional medicine.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wow.
Tony, we will definitely have to talk. You will absolutely love functional medicine.
I'm excited. I can't wait to
And we're
share.
all excited, too, for both of you and for our entire group. That's what I have found that is so amazing about this group, is how amazing we really are.
Well, and when I tell all there's so much for hygienists to do. There's the diabetic program. They wanted to reach out to hygienists. And so I think there's a lot that's going to happen where we could become certified through other programs to give our patients more of that reliability of certifications, for diabetes and nutrition. And I think it's going to be good. And I hope to help more people. More hygienists to become.
Thank you, Tony. And that's why what I wanted to also use this as an object lesson of how things change, and that we all have different cycles in our life. We have all different time frames in our life. And one of the things about the beauty of us coming together is that we all can give whatever it is that we're able to give at a certain time. Now, last year we had somebody that was on our dental hygiene coding focus group that was huge in making a difference in our group, and it was Howard. And Howard contacted me earlier today because he told me last year he was so busy as president of Colorado and other things, he had to take a step away. But I said, Howard, you want to come back? And Howard, you're back, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Thank you. And that's
Yes,
what
good to be back.
Exciting times, and that's what's great is, again, this is not about this isn't about you have to write reports and you don't have to do this. It's all about us coming together based on our passion, our time, and whatever we can do at a given time. Patty, is Maureen here yet? Did Maureen come?
I didn't see her.
I didn't see her yet. She did say she was going to come. We also want to introduce to you Maureen West, who has joined our Dental Codeologist member network. And Patty and I had a meeting with Maureen, again, another Coloradan, who is a JD. That means a doctor of jurisprudence, which she is a lawyer as well as a dental hygienist. We were talking about her, with her, what she has done, so many things. And Kathy, probably a few things that, or Howard probably can too, that Maureen has done even within the state of Colorado.
Well, for quite a few years, she was the attorney to the dental board and the nursing board and some smaller boards also. So when a professional was brought forward on charges or whatever, she was the attorney to the group to be able to guide them through that whole process. So she understands both sides of the picture, and her hygiene background, I've talked to her personally also, as she said, has just really helped her to understand that whole bailiwick of the professional licensing part of our profession as well as the dental board.
And she is happy and willing to be with us with this group and this committee, as well as the understanding what codes are, and for those of you that weren't here last year, when Ann Bottrell and Tammy Filipiak were more involved with our committee, our group. At one point, Ann Bottrell said that, if we need to go to litigation, even for restraint of trade on some of the things around coding, ADHA would consider being behind that. We need to consider all of these parts of the moving pieces that happen within this coding world. So we're thrilled that Maureen will be with us. But again, she said she'd be here and she isn't yet, but that's exactly how this works. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Now, let's pick on Patty a little bit. And we're not going to pick on her. We're going to just talk about Patty. First of all, we have, for those of you that are coming to Under One Roof, we are having our next meetup, our member meetup on Friday, the 3rd at 7:30, the 7:30. And it will be at the marketplace, in that beautiful room that's there. It's going to be a private area just for us. It is a members invitation thing, but it also is the idea of bringing in new members. Now, at Under One Roof, it's certainly not that all 1,200 participants are going to come to this. But if you have people that you know, that you've talked to, that you think that truly might want to be members, then bring them. This is what this is about. But don't just bring them. I need to know in advance. Hook them up with me, and I will send them an Evite. The Evites will go out this week for this event. Okay, and so we can start getting our numbers and our confirmations. Also, during Under One Roof, we will have a dental codology table booth. Patty Beeson, as well as Kim Jockheim from the committee, will be managing that table. And we need some volunteers. I know some of you already said that you would like to volunteer to be at the table. UOR is going to be a little crazy for me. I have 2 general sessions and a breakout session, as well as our breakfast. So other people, although we will have some book signings at the table, et cetera. What we're going to do this week is send out a survey monkey to ask if you can do an hour or 2 or whatever shift, so we can make sure that it's covered. We don't want to ask much.
Patty, you broke it down to like just a couple hours. So if it's the exhibit hall session, you can go ahead and still go through the exhibit hall. But if you could give us a couple hours, it would really help.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we're going to do it through a survey monkey so we can sign up that way. Again, invitation only. We need your help, so send them over to me. And remember, my implants by Siobhan, Melissa, Nikki. You guys have the next mastermind. The Dental Implants Uncovered group of professionals is amazing. So our next mastermind is on Tuesday, the 24th at 8 p.m. Central. I know that's a little bit late for our East Coast people. Yet in the same way, we need to accommodate for our West Coast people. Again, the mastermind we'll be talking about is around implants, and that's as specific as we're going to make it at this point in time. Put it on your calendar. With the idea of putting on the calendar is our next Dental Codeologist Consortium meeting is on Sunday, August 12th. Now, one of the things that I did is I went to my dental codology, because the membership site is still being built out. as I speak, I hope. What I did is for you to be able to look ahead, and it doesn't click, okay. On my dental codology website, if you look at my speaking schedule, I also have the masterminds and the DCC meetings listed there through the end of the year. So if you want to get some dates and put them on your schedule ahead, they're all there for you. I still believe, and I think we have to be very careful that we don't get too hygiene centric in our thinking and in our discussion. We need more parts of you. What was exciting was this past mastermind meeting, we had 3 dentists to attend. We have Natalie, who was our, Linda, how do you say Natalie's last name? Linda Jorgensen, I think no one knows how to say it. She's the president of the American Dental Assistants Association. We need to be more, how do you say it?
Call her Natalie K.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I definitely, you're right. I won't, even if you say it this time, I won't get it right.
It also responds to long pauses. So if you say, Natalie, yeah, that's me. It's Kvetchki,
Okay.
I think.
Anyway, she's the president of the American Dental Assistants Association. We need office managers. We have some office managers, Jan Palmer, and a few others that are part of this group, but we need to be more diverse in our thought process on bringing people in. It is a membership, which means, well, Patty, explain the part about cost and the misunderstandings that we've had around that.
Well, we've had a large number of key opinion leaders who have received a membership, but we also need people who can contribute to the group. We're so much stronger when we have a wider, broader membership, but there is a cost, and the deal is that it's $99 for the year. However, that's also going to include a really hefty discount on the products from Dental Codology. Patty's got 2 books coming out, and a 40% discount is a really big discount. She also has, am I going to steal your thunder?
No, go ahead.
Talk about the protocol?
No,
okay. Oh my God, the protocol. Oh my God, you have no idea how many times we've gone through that thing. But it's the protocol. It's based on AdPide. It is exactly what we've needed, a flow chart as to how to go through diagnosis, assessment, diagnosis, the whole thing. It's fabulous. And that will be one of the products that we'll have as well. I can't encourage offices enough, like the whole office, to join. As a way, it's like I said, a 40% discount is huge, plus all the other things that go along with it. And there's more to come, especially when you start talking about certification for coding issues, and that's where it's all headed. So
Thanks,
yeah,
Patty.
there's going to be a membership site. Please look.
And with what we were able to do is the AAP came out on June 21st with their new updated classification system, which really put my hair on fire because the book had not gone to the printer and we were able to pull it back to include the new system. It was a little crazy, but we did it. And Patty already mentioned certification. I see Sandy Brago and Vicki I can't think anybody say anybody's name tonight. And Vicki are both here. They are the co-chairs of our academic advisory group and working on certification. As I announced the last time, I know this dental codology now owns the Dental Insurance Navigator. Our target to have it rebranded as well as content on there for all of you to take is 9/1/18. Pretty daunting, but again, as a team, we're going to make it happen. Now, Linda, are you ready? Linda, our wonderful Linda Jorgensen, had started this last month, and now we're going to move forward now more with the name of this group, the vision, the mission, the goals, and the tasks. So, Linda, I have your slides in here. You just tell me when you want me to change them, okay? Work in progress here. Linda?
See, I heard myself perfectly fine, but none of you heard that. I have a little bell by my desk, so when I want you to change the slide, I'm going to ring the bell.
Oh my God, this is like film strips. Beep.
We did, last month, we did agree on a name change for this group to call ourselves a consortium. We've gone through a few iterations of names. We were a committee at one time, then we were a focus group, and then we were a group, and then we were kind of an unknown thing. And I kept hearing the word consortium come across, and I decided to look up the definition, and I really thought that this fit, because we are a group of experts, really, in our topic areas, and we're coming together to kind of share resources and make things happen according to a strategic plan. And so we decided that this was a good thing to call ourselves. We're less anonymous. I think a focus group seemed like we were anonymous. So if we come to the CMC, is that what they're called? Yeah, the CMC as a focus group, they're going, we don't know anything about a focus group, but a consortium, we have names and roles and professional, you know, a version of professionalism.
I did it!
Yay! So now this is new. At the end of last month's discussion on the idea of strategic planning, I don't recall who said it, but I agreed wholeheartedly that what was missing from our strategic plan at that point, the draft, was some mention of core values. We've talked about them before, but when we're focused on changing or influencing the direction and the language and the way the code manual is written, these are the things that we want to keep in mind. That it involves scientific evidence-based decision-making, not so much tradition or attitudes or opinions, but what's written about both diagnosis codes and procedure codes needs to be based on some scientific evidence that you can back up by looking at that evidence. Critical thinking, and I added this one because I think we've talked about it, but I wanted to get it in here as a core value. Competition neutral. It doesn't mean that the code manual should or shouldn't have language in it that's anti-competition or pro-competition, but all mention of like who should be doing something or shouldn't be doing something as a procedure, it doesn't belong in the manual at all. Because we know, or at least we suspect, that some of the phrases that exist in the manual, in the code manual, has the effect, whether it was intentional or not, has the effect of blocking some people from performing procedures. Especially those that say that a dentist is responsible for doing an examination and diagnosis. A dentist may do this or a dentist may do that, but it absolutely is silent on the issue of dental therapists, and in some cases, dental hygienists performing dental procedures that in other states it's not allowed. Doesn't matter. The code manual is not a place for any restrictive language about who should do what and who shouldn't do anything. That's the purview and the jurisdiction of state legislatures. They will decide who's going to do what's allowable in the state, and it shouldn't be codified in this code manual. And of course, ethics and fairness. So we can discuss this a little bit more. We can certainly add to this if you want, but I wanted to try to capture some of the reasons that we are writing this strategic plan in the first place. Ding.
Well, Patty, I am waking up.
Is it too loud? Okay, so here's the vision. We are an interprofessional healthcare providers leading the ongoing development of dental diagnostic and procedure codes. This was discussed at the last meeting. We tweaked it a little bit from its original version, but if people have questions, this is the vision for the group, what we're about, and our the preferred future of our group. And our mission is to influence the creation, definition and maintenance of dental diagnostic and procedure codes. It's actually quite simple. We can do a whole lot of other things, but when we get focused on this is what we're, it's at our core. This is what the purpose of the group is. Okay, goals. I wrote, we agreed on three specific goals, with a fourth one. The more I looked at it, I realized that's not really a goal, it's kind of a strategy, but I'll leave it in here anyway. The CMC will include representation from the professions of dental hygiene, dental assisting, business administration, dental therapists, and medicine, perhaps others. But the idea is right now, none of these professions are included on the code management committee. It's only dentists. Pardon me?
Maintenance committee.
Code maintenance committee. What did I say?
Management.
Maintenance committee. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. None of these are included now, and we think that they should be. So this is one of our primary goals for this group, is that we want this to happen. The people represented on the committee right now are dentists and insurance companies. And dental students. Isn't there a dental student on it? But all of the specialties, but no other professions at all. Do I have that right?
Well, we also have the insurance carriers. And Kathy, I didn't pull up that statistic that you sent this week, but Kathy was doing some research on the National Association of Dental Plans. And what did you find out, Kathy?
Well, you had mentioned that, what is it, a third of the codes that go through, like 30%, only 30% go through. Is that what you said?
Well, that's what about is on average, about 30% every year.
And the NADP last time submitted 19 codes, 15 passed, which gives them a passing rate of 79%. We need to align ourselves with this group.
Well, we need to align, and we also need to understand the overall influence that they do hold in the carriers, third-party carriers.
Absolutely.
And again, the National Associations of Dental Plan. Now we're talking, again, this is different than using the generic overall term third-party reimbursement. This is truly the insurance companies. Okay, so that's how successful. And they sit, and even the seating at the table is very specific. And that, I believe that the leader of NADP sits right next to the AAP, Dr. Marie, American Academy of Periodontology. They sit next to each other. Coincidence? I don't think so. But this is the arena that this is all in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Patty, this is Howard. May I interject?
Please, Howard.
Yes.
Yeah. This is something that we see. It's more broad than just the dental industry too. When the Affordable Care Act was being worked on, it was like 95% were physicians and insurance people. Very few people outside of those two professions. And it's just something we really need to explain to our stakeholders how important it is that that there is more than just what one group of people doing this work for our consumers.
Right.
And that's why I think it's really important. When I went back to the slide, Linda, you're going to have to give me another bell. But when I was talking about broadening the number, who is part of this group and the voices here, that's what this is, a really good list of who we need to broaden. Okay. Again, we're still very hygiene centric, yet most of us know dental assistants and business administrators and dental therapists and other people in medicine and dentists. That's the thing is, let's not forget dentists. Again, at their last mastermind, we had 3 dentists. Not everybody agrees with what the positions of their professional associations are doing, even at that coding committee. So they maybe want to be part of us to have a say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
All right, thanks, Howard. Thanks, Linda. Keep going.
Okay, the second goal was to foster the CDT manual consistency in nomenclature and descriptors. We have looked through the manual many times and picked it apart, and one of the issues that we see that's inconsistent is that in the beginning they say now I won't get this right, but one of you will correct me. They talk about it doesn't really matter who does it. We understand that these are procedure codes and there are some assumptions that are made. But then when you about this is a dental code, there's no such thing as a hygiene code, for example, and yet. But when you get to the descriptors, there are several places where it mentions the dentist doing an oral evaluation, the dentist doing any procedure. And so I think we identified several places in the manual that could have that language changed so that this is the anti-competition thing, or the competition neutral. You don't want to build into the code manual anything that presumes that certain codes can only be used by certain practitioners. That's not for the code manual to decide or to illuminate. Those are the decisions that are made by legislators and statutes. So anyway, consistency and yeah. This was, I believe we discussed this enough so that we, at least those of us who were in on that meeting, understood what that meant. So the third goal is to write and submit proposals or submissions to the CMC for new dental procedures that might not be in there, weren't at the time that it was written, amend existing procedure codes, new materials, processes, and technologies come about. To use an example, dental therapy is now a thing in several states, and that's growing. So they're doing dental procedures, but if they're, anyway, you get the idea. Edit out restrictive or restraining language in our submissions. If we see them, if we identify them, they may not hear us or decide that it's important the first time they hear from us, but maybe the second, third, and fourth time it will get some support. And this is where ADHA, if we identify something that does seem to be a restraint on, and everybody's looking at the code manual, or they at least have an understanding of what's in there, and they're saying, well, it says in the code manual that only a dentist can do these procedures. Well, you know, that's, anyway, if we need to solicit the assistance of the American Dental Hygienists Association or the FTC, I suppose that's because we keep getting shot down or just ignored. Our suggestions are waved off. I hope that doesn't, well, we're making progress. The fourth goal was about partnering. Now, to be honest, when I was writing this up, I thought this isn't really a goal by itself. It's more of a strategy in order to achieve some of those other goals. And so we might, if we were going to write up a formal document with these, our goals in it, I'm not sure that this would stay in there, but it's certainly one of the tasks, perhaps. It might be more of a task or a strategy than a goal. But AP definitely has expressed some interest in speaking to us or hearing from us if we have some suggestions, some proposed submissions before we submit them, if I recall. Am I getting that right? That they would like to know what we're thinking before we do it?
Yes, so does the AAPD, American Academy of Pediatric Dentists.
Yeah, okay. I can add that to the list. So then you mentioned, I wonder how interested some of those insurance companies or would I wonder if they're interested.
Well, at one time, I was led to believe that when Patrol 10 plus years ago and the person, Tim Lynch was his name at the time, they used to go to the AA, they used to go to the code committee, and at that point, it was a different committee, but they were making some headway into connecting with those, with the insurance carriers, with the NADP. NADP is a powerful body. There is a way that we can connect with them. They have their very specific agendas, and my experience with them is somewhat limited, yet that experience is that they are, let's see, as deeply embedded in their historical deep beliefs as other associations are.
Yeah.
Boy, I say that nice. In other words, they're a bunch of old guys that are they're thinking exactly how whatever has been the best way, and they don't want to change things. And every year at the code committee, they say, well, we got to change our computer if we change that. Yeah, like changing programming so hard. Anyway, I mean, that they use that as an excuse not to change the Profi codes because it's age-based. I mean, that it's way more complicated than that. So anyway, okay.
So that's kind of why I think it's really important to go back to those core values and really ask anybody that we're talking to consider that we're using scientific evidence, critical thinking, competition neutral, interprofessional collaboration, because different professionals view situations very differently, and all of that has value. And then there's some ethics that are need to be considered, and fairness. And so just because you've always done it that way or you don't like change, guess what? All of us feel very uncomfortable with change. So, you know, that's just the way it is. But yeah. All right.
Okay, before I move forward there, we got a couple of people in the chat box. Beth has suggested ADAM. Absolutely, Beth. Great connection. I know people, but who do you know? And who does anybody know? Let's connect with ADAM and get more ADAM members.
I don't know what that is.
That's for the that's the American Academy of Dental Office Managers. They are the organization that has created a certification program for dental office managers. They've been around for about 12 years. They are quite, built quite a network. Now, I don't think Jan Palmer is here tonight, but I know she is, helps run with, and why can't I think of her name? In Buffalo, they have their own group. So they have the national group, and then they have groups around the country. So anyway, and Howard, why don't you explain what you meant, Howard? Because I'm reading that going, okay.
Yeah, the Colorado had a similar concept in our strategic plan, and the goal we came up with is something of what I'm describing there. That we what we're trying to do is be influential in what we're in the what do you call it, the discussion that's going on over dental codes, diagnoses, treatments, that we want to be an influential member of that stakeholder group.
So, but would we want to have this, maybe this could become a goal by, it's partner with, but we can also have influence with these other stakeholder organizations. Is that a little bit what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
So, like Linda was saying that that this, this is really a strategy rather than a goal.
Right.
So I'm just trying to help define the specific strategy more clearly.
Right.
Okay.
What's the objective of partnering with them? Right. But
yeah,
I think we've identified some good goals and some objectives. But now here's the how. Another how.
Right.
Okay. So before we move on to the next slide, Alicia asked, does anyone know who put the submission for GlowClo screening and NADP's response? Well, Alicia, if you'd read my book, no.
Patty, I already answered her.
Yeah, right. It is right.
That
is, just so you know, it is from it, but it was Gary Hack, but it also was from Delta Dental. Had a very strong influence on that because of Delta Dental of New Jersey and it becoming a question and something that came before their board of dentistry. And so New Jersey, so us, the Jersey girls, Vicki, you guys, New Jersey had something to do with that, all of that too. So anyway, all right, let's move on, Linda.
Yes, ding, ding, ding.
I'm getting there. It doesn't want to move yet. There we go.
Okay, so now this is where we kind of didn't get started. The tasks are, we already are familiar with the tasks of the our consortium, what we're doing, hold monthly meetings of leadership team, then we hold monthly meetings online of the larger group. We assign members to topical subcommittees. For example, we picked apart the code manual last year, and everybody took a section, or each subcommittee took a section of it and worked on, went through it, tried to look for inconsistencies or places where there was something that could be tweaked. And then I think we had a submission about lasers.
We don't assign, we got to stop you though. In this group, we don't assign anybody. People assign themselves. They sign up. Okay, so I don't know what word we can substitute there, but I gotta, as the overall here, I gotta take. Nah, I ain't assigning anybody.
All right. Yes,
they self-select what is the best fit for them. We're gonna get there as we talk a little bit more about the subcommittee work group structure in a moment.
Yeah. And then I'm going to hop over to the second column, which is the work group or subcommittee. You call them work group tasks. Identify gaps, inconsistencies. Still with me? Write submission proposals and present to the larger group. The proposal itself, the justification, a scenario. If you can put into a scenario the way your code submission and the reason that it's different from what's already in the code manual, the scenario is helpful, and then supportive documentation, some references. And then let's see, try to find a person who will volunteer to present the submission to the CMC.
We'll get there.
Okay, so and then back over to the first column, the larger group's task is to look at what these work groups produce and then proof their submission, edit, tweak, do whatever in order to, it's filtered through the rest of the group. And there are people in this group and on this call right now who are very experienced at writing submissions, and that's what they do. They definitely want input from the larger group, but they probably feel, I'm assuming that they feel like they can't do everything and they want others of us in the group to get good at it too. So, and then I added in this one, even though you didn't say anything about it, Patty, but to facilitate and coordinate networking gatherings at regional or national meetings, such as Under One Roof, to help you with that. Those are the tasks that when we pull people together, we attract them into the group, that there's something for them when they get here. And one of the really nice things is opportunities to network in person, face to face at an Under One Roof or ADHA or other places where we might be in the same room, which would be awesome. Any questions about this one? This is kind of new, but it's not new. All right.
Sorry, I got trigger happy there.
I know. I thought we should talk about roles. We probably on this call, and certainly in the larger group, we have content experts, people who, even if you're not officially a researcher, but you could be given the or take on the task of researching a topic and finding articles and authoritative resources that support a recommendation. People who write those submissions. Readers, we definitely, I think it was mentioned at the very last leadership meeting that depending on what your role is in this large group, you need to have a copy of the current CDT code manual.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, Linda.
Yep, okay. And investigators, what I meant by that is kind of the same thing as a researcher, but to talk to others and discover how they experience gaps in the codes and either confusion or restrictions, restraints, arguments. It's amazing to me how much arguing is going on right now about everything in that code manual. Like, it's amazing to me, but it's always good to try to clear things up. And then, of course, meeting facilitators, planners, assistants, and coordinators. These are some of the roles. Do you, Patty, have any additions? Oops, I'm getting feedback. Any additions to this list?
No. I do appreciate the difference, though, between researchers and investigators, and perhaps we can explore that, talk about that a little bit more. Researchers are people that are looking actually into what has been there historically, what are the different resources. Investigators I see as a little bit more of a different role of proactively going out and talking to people and putting ideas together, a little bit of a detective, so to speak. And so there, again, what Linda has mapped out here so beautifully is exactly all the different things, and it's not limited to this list, that's going to create some success, because each of us are gifted and really like, or there's a right fit for us, and it's finding our right fit. So, Linda, did you want to, because I think this is your last one, right?
Yes, it is the last slide. These are some things that have come about through discussions in the past year, and there are others that didn't make it onto this list. In fact, if I was doing it right now, I would add things like oncology, for example, somebody. Well, that would be gravely ill, I suppose, but. There's so much oral hygiene that can be supported for people who are being treated for cancer, not just oral cancer, but any kind of cancer. They get drugs and radiation that cause oral effects that are very debilitating, and oftentimes they're just given like a special rinse maybe and advice to go home, and the oncologist doesn't know what to do with them, but I have a feeling that dental hygiene. Anyway, so that was a topic that came up, and I thought maybe a protocol or a certification for hygienists serving that particular patient population. And I'm not sure how that would translate into a code or a range of codes, but and perhaps it's already there. That's always possible, but something that I think we should talk about. So anyway, again, these were just, all of them end with a question mark. Do we need a code for specialized oral hygiene assistance for gravely ill, hospitalized, or disabled patients, or is it already there? Teledentistry, implants, various procedures performed with lasers, statements about which provider type is responsible. I think perhaps all of us are in agreement that anytime that a code mentions that it's performed by a dentist, that kind of needs to go away. So anyway, that is my last slide, and I'm happy to.
Thank you, Linda. It's awesome. And I think, again, remember all of these lists, there's always the meeting, post-meeting recording of this, but the PowerPoints are also available, guys, if you ever want these, because sometimes these lists you go, oh, that's not a good, what was that? But they're always available to you if you want it. Now, we're going to move into our next thing, and Kathy, I'm going to explain how we're going to do this. It's a little bit different than you wrote it up, but this is how we're going to proceed. First of all, congratulations to the Dental Hygiene Coding Focus Group. We were successful. Did we have any any submissions that passed? Well, we didn't. But that doesn't mean that we weren't successful. We were highly successful. We were discussing this the other night, and just by the very way that we were stonewalled by the code committee said a great deal about, they did that purposely. Being stonewalled is a very specific choice that they made. So we have nothing but success ahead of us, in my point of view. Kathy again is, as we know, Kathy is the co-expert on coding. Both of us have spent a lot of time and continue to spend a lot of time in this area. Kathy, what I want you to do, because again, our group continues to change, what I did is I put in from the letter that you received, I took each of these, and what I want you to do is just say what happened on each of these, and then we'll marry that to where we're going and how we're going to reorganize our subcommittee work groups. Okay, so just talk about each one of these.
These are the 6 that we talked about that we submitted. We wanted to jump ahead and take provider identification out of everything. I mean, went through the manual, take the word dentist out, take the word doctor out. So there's a paragraph in the diagnostic codes category, which we're all really familiar with. This is what it is, and we wrote it out, and the way they have you write it is put in red what you want to delete with a line, thrust strike through it, and then put blue underline and what you want to change it to. So we basically took, the dentist out of the diagnostic code paragraph. And if you look down, they voted, 2 voted in favor of this. And then 19 voted against, with no discussion. There was absolutely none. It was presented. I stood at the microphone and kind of looked around the room, and no one said anything, and they said, let's take a vote, and that's what it was. And you can see down below the requested revision. It can only be provided by a dentist by virtue of his or her education. So, and then the next ding, ding, ding.
So the thing is they were doing the vote by a machine that they found out about code number 15, submission number 15 wasn't working right. So we don't know who the 2, because they didn't do it by a card vote. So we don't know who the 2 were that did vote to support this. We wish we did, because
do we wish.
Yeah, we could follow up with that. But we do not know who the 2 were that voted to support our efforts on this. Kathy, do you think there's a way if we called Frank that we might be able to get that information? If they even
I will make a phone call.
Yeah, it seems like something worth following up. Okay, next one.
Next one has to do with the actual code of the comprehensive oral evaluation, again, taking out used by a general dentist and just making it this evaluation. Now, I think whoever the 2 were the first time around went, oops, and one of them changed. So there was 1 yes and 20 no, with the same reason for declining to accept it. So, yeah, that's it. This one was adjunctive local anesthesia agents which can be used to improve patient comfort during or after. Our intent with this was the buffering agents or any other agents that might come out that would piggyback with local anesthetic to improve patient comfort. And what they determined that the proposed addition that it belongs under the 9215 local anesthesia in conjunction with operative or surgical. And we kind of knew they might come back with it, so we were prepared to say no, buffering agents are not local anesthetics. So they wanted to bundle it under local anesthesia. And again, we stood at the microphone and they said nothing, and then they voted, and 21 against. No discussion. Application of light energy for management and maintenance of acute. This was the using lasers to enhance cell function and to promote healing. This I found very interesting. They determined, for all you people who use lasers to do this, that it best belong, it's a technique, and as opposed to an actual, I'm not sure why they call it a technique, but they declined it and said it's part of, if you use the scaling root planing, scaling in the present. So again, there was, if I believe, was it Jeanette who spoke on it? Who spoke? Someone did talk to this.
Jeanette, probably.
Yes, I did stand up and present this one.
Yeah, but again, it was like they just totally, they totally ignored what she said. And it was the representative from NADP who was saying he didn't believe this was a viable thing, that shouldn't do it.
This code was summarily dismissed.
Right.
Summarily.
Yeah.
Right.
Summarily.
So here's the thing.
Alicia asked on here, is there usually discussion? And I can speak to that probably the best because I've been there the most times. And yes, there is this meeting, there was something very specific about this meeting. It wasn't only limited to our codes though. It can feel to this group as if they chose not to discuss our codes at all. That's true, but something else was going on. There was not nearly the discussion on anything there usually is. This meeting used to be a 2-day meeting, and if they hadn't decided to take lunch, they could have been done by 12:30 because there was nothing discussed very much at this meeting. And so there's something else that's going on that we aren't aware of. But that's where we still did what we needed to do, and that's present our point of view. The fact that they didn't come back and they didn't want to discuss anything, there was a decision made on that specific to us, but again, it wasn't limited to us.
Yeah. Disruption of subgingival biofilm. This was using air polishing with glycine. And what I found very interesting is they basically said there's already a code for this, which I don't think anybody who's used air polishing knew it. And they said it should be reported with D6101, debridement of peri-implant defects surrounding a symbol and make it an implant code. So for all those who use air polishing with glycine on implants, here's your code. So I guess in one respect, we were successful because we found out what we're supposed to be using, but we could not get a separate code written as we would have liked.
But Kathy, when you read that, even if we read that last, including flap entry and closure, does that limit it that we can't use it?
I think we were very specific about what we were going to do. I know it's under the surgical services subsection, so it could be questionable, but we won't know until people start sending it in and getting either acceptance or getting it declined.
But what makes no sense though with this is it has 2 surfaces. So how does that apply for 2 surfaces? It doesn't.
Well, right. Only for implants.
We only wanted it, yes, for implants.
This is nonsensical, actually. Their response does not make sense, no matter how.
I know it doesn't. But if we start bombarding the insurance agencies with a lot of D6101s, we'll see what happens, is my opinion. Transmucosal administration of local anesthetics. This was meant for the injectable, the non-injectables, the Orachix, the Covinase, any aerosols, any transdermal patches, intranasal sprays, because in our thought, was real no definition of local anesthetic, and they've always said it's injectable. Well, we wanted to have a non-injectable code, procedure code, and they defaulted to say, no, we don't believe that. They didn't want it unbundled, and I'm going, that's not unbundling, it's a whole different. So maybe having a better understanding what the definition of local anesthetic versus transmucosal, break it down would help. But they, again, declined. They didn't talk about this at all.
And I think a definition of bundling and unbundling. Unbundling is something they use often when they don't want to break out, like having a furry crown and taking an impression and having all those things broken out that are so completely broken out on the medical side, but they are not on the dental side. Yet this one I think, again, I agree with Kathy, that's unbundling does not make sense. And yet we have codes for, this type of material and that much type of material. Why is that now all under crowns? It's inconsistency in their argumentation.
Right.
Patty,
yeah.
And Kat. Another thing, back to our core values associated with this group, the scientific evidence says that, even with lasers, for example, and then these new materials such as the buffering agents and new anesthetic that are non-injectable, that's evidence. Well, it's like they're ignoring, or they just don't know about it. They don't understand that lasers do something that a scalpel cannot and does not do. They don't get it. They don't understand it. So they're going, oh no, that procedure is covered over here and over there. Well, no, it's not. It's a different procedure entirely. Yeah. So it's like, what kind of evidence will they accept?
I don't know that we can say they don't understand it as much as they won't accept it. This is
They never even responded, so we can say, what else do you want? I mean, they never opened the discussion to talk about it.
right. Okay.
Now, Patty, if I can I interject real quick that we did have Valley Ferrero was able to get up on give testimony on a procedure code that had to deal with temporomandibular joint dysfunction, non-invasive physical therapies, and it was rewritten to such a way that light energy is acceptable for that particular procedure, and it passed 19 yes, 0 no's, and 2 abstentions. So it's our toe has just stepped into the water with using light energy for a physical therapy kind of procedure dealing with TMJ dysfunction. So that was a positive.
We'll see that 2019. Now, this comes directly from the CDC website. You can submit again for consideration. The important part is that resubmission has to contain new information that wasn't available at the change of the time that the original one was prepared. I put that there because what we are talking about here is that I think all of us certainly were involved before believe strongly in the 6 that we came up with. Now, we just can't just put them back in the same way. But those of you that were there both the last year saw that the biomimetic people came back again. I think that was their 3rd year that they were there, and their submissions didn't pass again. And they did have a little bit of discussion, but what they kept saying is, no, we don't repeat the same stuff. We need new information. We need new information. So that's really important to consider when we talk about our new ways of organizing for now and for later. In this decision I made when I was putting things together that all of the other people that other advisory leaders were putting together the pieces, and that's to change the name of what we're doing from a subcommittee to a focus, because we were successful, but we're going to change the name of it. Now, what we are going to do is looking ahead for now and later is those are the 12 categories of code. In those 12 categories, there is a possibility when the submissions come in later this year that we'll need to decide how we're going to vote on. They'll come in December, that we'll need subcommittees for each of these areas. Subcommittees or subgroups, other groups, focus groups, whatever we're going to call them, I forgot already, for all these areas. Right now, Jill is going to talk to us a little bit about successful subcommittees, because we did have success last year. We did build a greater community and more people had more chances for voices. So Jill, talk a little bit, work group, talk a little bit what we were talking about on more specifically. Linda talked about a little bit about this, but Jill, go ahead and talk about the successful work group.
Right. Well, that's pretty much what I have there too. And Linda kind of nailed it in her presentation there as well. But the subcommittee that I was on, the reason that it was a very successful subcommittee, even though it did not pass. But what happened was that we all worked. But first of all, it's important to appoint a strong team leader, knowledgeable in subject matter and Zoom or GoToMeeting. And that was appointed was Valerie. Here was appointed to that, and she kind of took the helm of it and had our meeting notes up there and so on and so forth that we had worked on. And then we formed it. It's important to have a designated, consistent scheduled meeting time decided by the group. We met on Sundays at 2:00, so everybody kind of knew when they were supposed to be meeting there. And yes, it is always possible that you can't show up, but pretty much everybody did show up at that time that was on the committee to have their input. And then we had they talked about tasks, and various tasks happened through different individuals that this was all volunteer, and they volunteered it, such as someone was volunteering for research, someone's been volunteering to write it up. So then we had other sources for the scientific evidence. So when we all came together, we knew this. And then it was Also, Jeanette, we talked about that, and that's how Jeanette got. Well, Jeanette was involved all along, but she then was the presenter, and we went over like a mock presentation and what she was going to be saying, and so on and so forth. But everybody has their input, and everybody came together with their input, and that's what made it successful. The other subcommittees had more difficult times because it was just pretty much dumped on one person and they couldn't get it together. Even though they had a number of people on their teams, everybody, it was just kind of not coming together as well. So it was kind of stressful. So I encourage, when we break out into these little subgroups or TED Talk groups or whatever you want to call them, that you have a plan, a real format plan that will work, and then everybody contributes, and then no one left really kind of either doing everything or being stressed out by it. It works, and it did work, and we made a lot of good connections. There weren't many on this particular group, but the people that were on there, we made some really strong connections, which there again helped. So whichever group that you volunteer to be on, just kind of take the lead by that, and that's what worked for us. And I think that Kathy said the other day that she was a little jealous of the group because we did come together so well. That's all I really have to say on that matter. But that was what was successful for it.
Right. What we also talked about is the groups gotta have the required tools for learning and submission of the codes. Now, that means that, and again, this is your choices, but you need to have minimally a copy of the CDT book. You can't be going by what you think you know already, because that's how we've gotten into these problems in the first place. People think they know the codes and they don't. So we need the copy of the CDT book. There is the CDT companion, which is also very helpful. If you don't want to book it all, then get the app. There is an app that you can get and purchase those through ADA, but you can get them through Amazon, you can get them through other places. And if you want, you can talk to a dentist that you know or that you know is a member, because they can get a CDT. I mean, they can get ADA member pricing. You're thinking, well, yeah, but it's 18 and 18's half over. Well, guess what? We're talking about the changes that we want to make are for 18, so they can be submitted to be heard, and 19, so the changes can be for 20. Yeah, that's the game. And yes, they do. You do have to get it every year. What's interesting is on the Q&A on ADA's CDT website is that even ADA members go, how come we have to buy it every year? We pay for membership. And they actually responded, because we make a lot of money on it. So they do. Okay. Kathy and I have to pay for licenses for what we do. But that is the licensed information. Would I like to send you my copies of it? Sure, I would, but I would be violating my own licensing as well as the rules of CDT. And part of our own ethics. I also suggest, if you haven't gotten it already, many of you already have, is in CDT Shifts, what I did, and it's a print book this time as well as an ebook, is I have all of the changes and the shifts from 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and it gives you a background, a little bit more of what's going on. Of course, as a dental codologist member, you get 40% off of that. And if you ask me, I'll give you 40% off of the price before it went up on July 1st, if you haven't gotten it already. Now, what we need to consider right now is to have 5 group work groups. Work group, you got to think about this as we talk about how we're going to move forward with this, because Kathy's done an amazing job with put some ideas together already for 20 that we can submit later this year. But we'll need a work group in diagnostic, preventive, periodontics, implant, and adjunctive general services. Like I said, when we get to the point of reviewing the codes, reviewing the submissions for next year, we might need other groups. And the way we're going to do this is when we send, Patty, are you listening? When we send the Survey Monkey out about volunteering for the dental codology booth, we will add a part for you to sign up to volunteer to be on one of these work groups. Okay? That's what the structure is going to be. It's going to be based on the general area. The first general area, The first group will be the diagnostic group. And again, as Linda said, as Kathy said, as our primary goal this year is to really work on removing the references that are specific to practitioners out the CDT manual. And really, all we're really asking for is consistency within the manual. So in the clinical oral evaluations, that's what we asked for last year. Remember, though, in order to resubmit this, we need to come up with new evidence, new argumentation. Could that be something about another state that now has, because right now Colorado and Oregon are the only ones that can, right now, that they basically, when you submit these as a Coloradan hygienist, you're violating this language. So think about how that goes with our Practice Act and our rules, that sort of thing. Same thing along this one. These are both in the diagnostic section. Something else that Kathy suggested, I think is absolutely a great idea, is to consider periodontal risk assessment and documentation. Okay, we have Carrie's risk assessment and documentation. AAP again just came out with their guidelines, their new guidelines. That might be something that we consider and discuss and think about, this risk assessment code. The second work group that we're going to have is a preventive work group. Again, looking into the manual and making sure we get as much, again, Linda called it, Linda, what'd you call it? Competition neutral.
Competition neutral.
Yeah.
And the other thing that occurred to me is third-party payers can use any restrictions in this code manual to deny coverage to a practitioner who rightfully and legally provided that service. You can go, oh, well, in the code manual it says that only dentists can do this, so therefore you're a dental hygienist or a dental therapist, denied.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it needs to come out of there. It has to be neutral.
This one, of course, is huge. This one came up last year. This one is coming up again this year. We expect. Kathy has just already gotten some information about the way the carriers are already pushing some of the associations. This is going to be, this work group for preventive care is really important in all of these discussions. Then we have the periodontics work group. That's the third group where, again, when we talk about the language, we need to look at the language. One of the things we might want to look at, and this is just a patty, is this language that was added to this code, okay, with the 4346, should not be reported in conjunction with prophylaxis scaling when planning a debridement procedure. This is a problematic statement in a lot of ways, because if someone has gingivitis with one area of periodontitis, we have to have them come back for the periodontitis there. Why should this be questioned, and is it something we might want to submit? This is also where the light energy might come in, but I think this makes the most sense that it's going to come in this periodic section. We don't know that because one of the things when you make a submission, where it is in the book is not determined by who submits it. The ADA committee, other people decide that later, but it would make the most sense. It's going to be in periodontics. Then we have another work group, which is the implant work group. The implant work group, I think, as we were talking about our air polishing rejection, we need to come up with, first of all, a better language in air polishing. And I mean, we already were working on it, though I think the implant group is coming up with an even better term. So that's a whole other thing for discussion. Where's research come since the last time we submitted this? Something else, again, we might want to consider. This is really problematic. When there are so many gaps in the codes when it comes to there's nothing for the maintenance of codes, maintenance of healthy implants, of someone that doesn't have mucositis or peri-implantitis. And we again have that same limiting language here. By the way, this limiting language is something that's newer in just the last couple of years. Why is it there? Do we need it there? What does it create for us? And again, then our final work group would be our adjunctive codes. Again, there's lots of references through that. Kathy, by the way, Kathy has already done a lot of work for each of the subcommittees with coming up with the specifics on even pages for you on where some changes that we were thinking of. This is where, again, adjunctive codes, will come under this one with the anesthesia codes, our 2 different anesthesia codes. They would most likely come under one. This one definitely. This is where anesthesia has been before. So what other ones are there in the adjunctive codes? One of the beautiful things is that Kathy came up with, I think is just absolutely, why do we have the word bleaching in these codes? I mean, is that accurate? Is that a scientific term? Is that what we should have in our codes? So this is where we're at now. Doesn't mean that there aren't other things we can't look at. If there's anything else in either sections, if somebody has some endo knowledge and you want to come up with changing an endo code, our group will entertain a change in the endo codes. Really? Anyway, but these are the 5 work groups. So again, which would you like to be on? Remember, we need people that know how to use GoToMeeting or Zoom, though they're not hard to learn. We need to have people that are researchers. We need to have people that have interest. And we also are happy to accept whatever it is that you can give and share. We need leaders, and we would like to keep the leaders of this advisory group not being the leaders of these work groups. We can better help on these different committees, and really more leading from behind, because we will grow as a group as other people step up to these leadership positions. So that will be also something else that we will have on our survey, is if you want to take a leadership. Doesn't mean you have to have done it before. It's just that you are ready to do it now and we're ready to help. Again, our next meeting is on Sunday, the 12th, and let's get this link work. Oh, there we go. So what I tried to show you before and it didn't go is, here is the link over to my website. It's under my speaking schedule, and you can see right on here, we have the coding meetings as well as the masterminds, and I do have them listed all the way through the end of the year. The other thing is, whether it's where I'm doing a course or anybody else, I think another thing that was brought up that, by Linda, that it's like, if we have a meeting, anytime we have a meeting, think about the recruit, think about who we can get involved, think about who we can talk to. We are stronger together because of all of us. Do we have any final comments or thoughts for tonight?
Patty, this is Kathy. I just want to encourage people. There are many of you that are out there that are really good at leading a group, but you may be thinking, but I don't know enough about the topic. Believe me, we will give you as much support and guidance and ideas as you lead the group. So don't feel like, if your knowledge base might be lower, but your leadership skills are really fine-tuned, and we could certainly use you in a leadership position, and we'll give you all the tools you need to be successful.
For sure.
This is Maureen. I just wanted to jump in and say hello, everybody. I had 7 o'clock Mountain Time in my mind, so I apologize for that. I guess that was Midwestern time, wasn't it? But I do want to say, Kathy, since you're in Colorado, maybe you and I can get together and you can get me up to speed a little bit.
Sure. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. All right.
And Maureen, for you and everybody else, this meeting will be up on YouTube. I'll send you guys a link if you want to listen to it that can bring you up to speed. And hopefully the goal is by UOR to have a membership only link on my website, so that we'll have everything that we have will be more in a single place, and you don't have to get links, but we're working on that. So,
Patty, can I say something?
Sure.
One of the things I was thinking about, we've been talking about what we're going to do and how we're going to do this, but something that's more subtle that all of us can do all the time, anytime, is start talking to the people that we know, the people that we see, whether they're the dentist or our referring offices, and not in accusing, you miserable periodontist, you wouldn't listen to us. Sort of the doctor, help me to understand why this is this and this is done this way, and start planting the seeds that we are knowledgeable and we know about these things, and we're concerned about them and the reasons why. It can't hurt us. And eventually they do go back and talk to their peers. And sometimes comments are made. I think it's just another method that we can all use to approach this from a slightly different and non-confrontational angle. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments? Thanks, Eddie.
That's it.
Again, we're awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you to all the leaders. Thank you to every single one of you guys. We all make a difference and we are stronger together. So thank you so very, very much. And everybody have a good night. And see you on the 20 for our next mastermind too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you.